Good morning, everybody. Welcome to DMV Subcommittee Transportation. If the clerk would call roll.
Mr. Chair, my screen isn't set up, Delegate Delaney, if I can flag that.
We help her out on technical issues.
Yeah, you're good.
You good? Okay. We have a quorum. Good morning. All right, so let's get started with SB 281. Senator Evan.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman
Morning.
and members of the committee. I have a technical amendment on line, the clerk has it on line 67 and line 70, I believe, to strike the word transit.
Okay. Do we need to hear him?
Second.
Motion is second to accept. All those in favor of accepting the amendment, say aye. 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 Okay.
And I believe that was the only technical amendment. This bill has to do with procurement of, for transit agencies and procuring new buses on a statewide basis. The legislation exempts a manufacturer, factory branch, distributor branch engaged in manufacture distribution of transit buses from the requirement to obtain a special license from the Department of Motor Vehicles to engage in business. And it would also exempt transit buses from dealers' license plate and temporary license plate requirements. Basically, there's a legal issue preventing DGS from issuing a new statewide procurement for diesel transit buses and exercising the option on its existing contract for electric buses. So DGS identified the conflict between federal and state law, and that has meant federal funds can't be used to purchase buses, halting the current statewide bus procurement process since May 2021. And with passage of this bill, we'll be able to again procure those buses. And I do have Jennifer Mitchell from DRPT to speak to if there are questions.
Okay. Any questions for the patron? Jennifer, do you want to come up and speak?
Good morning. Chairman, member of the committee, this is a very important bill for the Department of Rail and Public Transportation and the agencies that we fund across the state. We are not able to use a contract at this moment to be able to have a statewide procurement vehicle for agencies to procure buses. We currently have about 400 buses in our statewide plan that we're not able to purchase using this contract right now. So this will resolve this conflict between federal law and state law and allow our agencies to be able to use a statewide procurement vehicle. So thank you.
Thank you. Any questions regarding that end?
Mr. Chair, how fast you want to move this morning?
It's up to you.
All right, move the report.
As amended?
We'd report in a second.
As amended?
As amended. Please, people, go to the voting roll. I like your style, Delegate Bagby. Thank you, sir. Thanks, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, members of the committee.
All right, backing up to SB 34, Senator Marsden. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Senate Bill 34 actually is a potential fee reduction here. When we set up electronic credentialing for folks to get electronic registrations, driver's license, what have you, they set a fee of $10, and they don't think at DMV, they don't think necessarily they need to charge that much, so they want flexibility to charge a little less. So a happy bill for a Tuesday morning, and that's what the bill does.
Great. Any questions for the patron?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. And this is an administration or a department bill, correct?
Yes, this was given to me by Division of Motor Vehicles.
Okay, any further comments?
Second.
Move report in a second. Go to the vote board, please. Reports 8-0. Thanks, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
All right, moving on, SB 345, Senator Barker. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to see you this morning, bright and early here. I have Senate Bill 345. It's a bill that was brought to me by some students in my district. And what it would do was allow the individuals who wanted to have their blood type on their driver's license or identification card to be able to have that put there. So
Okay.
we already have things related to donor and organ donation, those types of things, and so this would be just in addition to that. It will be just a little bit delayed in terms of implementation. DMV will be renovating their system, the data system, in the second half of 2022, and they won't put this in place until they do that, and then it's easy to get done.
Okay. Questions for the patron?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Question. The liability to the state if the blood type is wrong, are we covered on that?
Yeah, and basically what it is basically it states in here that we're covered on that, and what it does is it puts the onus on the individual. So, yeah.
Thank you. Any further questions?
One. So,
Delegate Anderson.
thank you, sir. So if I want to put my blood type on my driver's license, I just declare what it is to the DMV. There's no verification whatsoever to any.
Yeah, what you can do is provide information from a physician as part of that process. So.
So you'd have to have a medical record from a doctor.
Well, not a whole medical record, but just certifications there. So.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
Question. My understanding is a medical facility would never use just that alone to make a determination. My understanding is they will, even if you go in and say, I'm whatever, positive, they will always test your blood. So I'm wondering, when the students brought this to you, what were they trying to solve with having this kind of?
What they're really trying to do, and there are several other states around the country that have done this. We're not the first. But what they really wanted to do was to be able to, if someone was injured and emergency medical services would have some information that might be helpful in some situations. If someone is, say, a hemophiliac, they would then be able to try to start a transfusion to make sure that they keep them alive at least till they get to the emergency department for those types of things. So that's what they were trying to address here. So.
Okay. Anybody else wants to speak to this matter? By the audience?
I feel like without medical information from a physician, my vote is no. I think this is dangerous, and as Delegate Delaney stated, they're going to be tested at the hospital to get the correct blood type. This concerns me a little too much. I don't think it's a good idea.
All right, thank you.
Do we have anybody who wants to speak to the matter in the audience? For or against?
No one in the room.
No one in the room. What's the direction of the body? Motion to report. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Motion is second. Please vote on the voter board. Okay.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Report 6-2. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Hope you have a good day.
You too.
All right, continuing on, I'm going to start with SB 733. Senator Ruff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Y'all have dealt with this issue already this year with the use of farm use plates, setting up a regiment through DMV to, if farmers want to get the plate, they can pay the $15 and get the official placard. In the real world, that doesn't exactly hit where it needs to hit, because the people that are using the farm use plates are a lot of times people who are avoiding paying insurance on their vehicle. What my bill does is simply say that if they get stopped by law enforcement and they have a farm use plate, they've got 30 days to prove that they have insurance, or they automatically get a $600 fine.
Fair enough. Questions for the patron? DMV in good stead with this, Mr. Ford? No position? Okay. No questions? Anybody in the audience to speak? For or against?
I do have a question, I guess.
Mr. Bloxom.
So currently, and I guess this is the DMV or to the police, currently a person at DMV gets a license only has to check that they have insurance. They don't have to have proof of insurance. But when they get stopped by the police, is that insurance is a back-end check on that, isn't it? Is that not correct now? That you get if you do not have insurance and you have a license, you will get, it's a back-end check. Okay, is this, and I guess my question is, how does that fit into what we're trying to do here on a back-end check on this, or does this, it doesn't apply?
Mr. Chairman, members, Linda Ford, as acting DMV commissioner. What happens in our current process is for registered vehicles, they check that they have insurance, and it's only after the fact, if insurance gets canceled, or we do routine checks, electronic checks with the insurance companies, that we determine that they are in fact uninsured. In this case, it's not the registration process that this follows, so DMV would be out of the picture. We wouldn't know one way or the other whether they had insurance. This would be more of a law enforcement issue.
Delegate Taylor, did you have a comment? Or Delegate Anderson?
For the DMV commissioner, could I ask you just one question? So is the law not already right now that if a operator of a motor vehicle doesn't have insurance, I think it's a Class 3 misdemeanor and it's a $500 fine? Is that already not the law?
The uninsured motorist, it's a $600 fine if you're essentially caught without insurance.
But isn't it also a misdemeanor, a Class 3 misdemeanor? This comes up in my practice all the time. So isn't it also a misdemeanor?
I apologize. I don't know the answer to that. I'll have to find out.
Okay. I'm just wondering, I guess my point is why would we need this if we already have the uninsured motorist fee? I guess that's just my question.
Because there are an awful lot of drivers out there that are beating the system one way or the other. Now, I can't tell you exactly why. I think that you have to pay the uninsured motorist fee if you do not have insurance. But that doesn't protect anybody. On your policy, every vehicle you have, you are paying an uninsured premium to cover those costs and we've got more and more people out there who are using these plates that you buy at Walmart or Farm Supply, whatever. They have no relationship with farming at all. They're simply trying to beat the system.
Okay, any other questions for the patron? Anybody in the audience wants to speak for or against?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there currently an official farm use plate that people can purchase through DMV with that registration?
Not as of today, but as of July 1st, there will be one.
All right.
Thank you. All right. Committee acts by motion. Motion is second. You guys would go on the voter board, please. Motion carries. Reports 8-0. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Okay, SB 749, Senator McDougall. Good morning, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's probably the least complicated issue that y'all deal with this year, but I have a constituent who has an antique vehicle, and they went to register their vehicle, and I want to say it was from the late 20s, and found out that somebody had already taken the antique vehicle number that they had. And so before this, I was not aware. We had three different plates. The current ones we have now, you have antique plates, and then you have the historic pre-printed plates. And so this would allow you to have the same of those historic pre-printed plates. I think it's before 1973 on vehicles, and I think it's 1976 on motorcycles. And so if you got a 214 from 1923, you could also get a 214 from 1940. And I think DMV, there were very few of these out there, but this was a plate that individual's grandfather had historically, and they were involved in the racing industry, and it was very important to them, and that's how it came about. We changed the law, I believe it was 3 or 4 years ago, that you could have done this before that, and then when we changed the law, you could not.
Okay. If I remember, to my knowledge, the intent of using these plates was to, go to car events and that sort of thing, and that was the original intent, was it not?
Mr. Chairman, these are very historic vehicles with these plates, and so they are. People spend a lot of time to redo these and make them nice and displayed. These are not ones that you would be driving around on the street as your regular vehicle.
Okay. Any questions for the patron this morning?
Just for clarification.
Yes, sir.
So these are vintage plates. We're not talking about the antique tags that we see driven around every day.
Correct, Mr. Chairman. These are all pre-1973 vintage plates on vehicles, and I think it would be 1976 on motorcycles.
Yes, sir. All right, thank you.
Even though I'm not sure there are any motorcycle vintage plates that exist, but that would be technically possible.
Anybody in the audience wants to speak to this matter? For or against? Committee operates by motion.
Move to report.
We have a motion and a second. Please open the voter board. I'm waiting on my 8. Are we having voter problems?
There she is.
Here we go. Report's out 8-0. Thanks,
Thank
Senator.
you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the committee. Y'all have a good day.
Do the same. All right, last we have on the agenda is SB 488. Senator McClellan, good morning.
Anybody in the room?
I was going to try to speak French and honor Mardi Gras, but I haven't had enough coffee, so.
He has the mask, just to put it in
Exactly.
full.
Exactly.
They asked me to wear this.
There you go.
Looks
Bonjour, I remember that, yes. Joyeux Mardi Gras, that's about it.
There you go.
All right, Senate Bill 488 creates the Transit Transition Fund and Program. This is very similar to a fund and program created for school buses. It would be used for competitive grants to localities to help them transition their public transit fleet to zero-emission vehicles and infrastructure. And that's the bill.
Thank you. Any questions for the patron?
There is someone in the room.
Okay. No questions for the patron. Anybody in the audience who wants to speak for the matter? Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. I'm Lisa Guthrie with the Virginia Transit Association, and we support the bill. It's not intended to be a capital fund to purchase fleet vehicles, but it's intended to be a supporting measure to assist with the transition to zero emission. That would be electric and also the hydrogen cell vehicles. So
Okay.
assist in that transition.
Question
Thank
for,
you.
I think we have a question.
Yes. So the fund isn't for, I'm trying to figure out, you said the fund isn't for purchasing, or I'm trying to catch what you said. So the fund is?
Yeah, so the fund would be used, for example, assisting with planning for transitioning to electric vehicles, but not for the actual purchase of the vehicles. It could be used to buy charging infrastructure or to help get a competitive grant towards that. But
And I guess a follow-up question, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Chairman. So how is the fund going to be funded? I mean, it's got to be capitalized.
Well, so the way the bill is structured, it could be funded through any number of means. It could either be, like most funds we create, it could either be through appropriations, it could be from federal funds, it could be through grants or donations from nonprofit organizations that we get. So just the way it's structured, it would be funded like any other fund we have at the state level.
Okay, but follow-up question, one last question. So is there any appropriation to this fund currently on your side?
Not currently.
Okay, thank you.
Delegate Anderson.
Good morning, Senator. If there's no money going to the fund, is there really a need for this at this point?
Well, when the federal government passed the infrastructure bill, that was between sessions. So that's one example of funding streams that could come to this fund. We don't know what could happen between now and the next General Assembly session. There has been precedent for creating a fund but not funding it in the initial year, but that puts that mechanism in place so that when those funds do arrive, there's a place for them to go.
But one more follow-up, Mr. Chair.
Continue.
Wouldn't they have to go through appropriations and allocations to go to they're not just automatically going to dump into this account, correct?
I believe it depends on how, sometimes when the federal government passes legislation that sends money to the states, sometimes that money can be or at least put somewhere before the General Assembly comes in to appropriate it. Again, we have created funds just to have that mechanism in place, whether they are funded by the Appropriations Act in the same year or not. So it's really up to the will of the Appropriations and Senate Finance Conferees if they want to put anything in it or not.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions for the patron? Anybody else wants to speak for this bill? Anybody against? We have one person on Zoom or virtual. Good morning, Mr. Gordon.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm speaking on behalf of Virginia Conservation Network. We are in favor of this. And as the patron mentioned, we've created funds and not funded them pretty regularly. The EV rebate is one such. We also have an electric vehicles transition fund that's specifically designed for school buses, also unfunded. So this would be a completely normal thing for y'all to do. So thank you very much for the consideration this morning.
Thank you. Nobody else to speak? Last word? Yes, ma'am.
Just for clarity, because I mean, I guess my understanding again is as we move into a place of zero emission, we've been having a lot of discussion about this, and I know they're talking about appropriating funds, but from my understanding, this is basically helping to support the planning.
Yes.
For us to get to a place that we know that we are going. I mean, it's just inevitable that we'll be moving in that direction.
Yes,
and
I mean, basically the transition to electric vehicles and infrastructure is happening. Okay. And this bill will do two things. It'll help to give our localities the ability to plan for that. It also sends a signal, frankly, that we are open to electronic vehicle infrastructure here and the jobs and hopefully getting more manufacturers here in Virginia.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Otherwise, I'm going to ask that the committee take action on a motion.
Move to report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second and a move to refer. We have a substitute motion. We have a motion to pass by. That takes a superior position. We have a second. Please go to the voter board. Excuse me, that's a voice vote. All those in favor of passing this bill by, say aye. Aye. Those not?
No.
Can we get hands for in favor of passing it by? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have saying no. We have, please raise your hands.
You know how many?
We have 4.
Yeah.
Okay. Just trying to follow rules here, procedural protocol. It gets passed by. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You saved me 2 more meetings.
Yeah, this is all on the docket for today. I think this is the last meeting for this subcommittee for this General Assembly session, and I wish you guys well for the day. Thank you.
The less said, the better.
What was it?